This is what I look for. When I see a success, I'm looking for anything
to say that they didn't do it on their own?
Detain it, not this.
So civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven in a court of law, but if true, it could rise to the level of criminality, and, we'll see what happens or if the DA looks and investigates.
Beyoncé, the queen who has ruled pop culture for over 20 years, is reportedly unraveling behind closed doors. Sources reveal she is heartbroken, shaken, and breaking down in tears after a shocking courtroom twist that nobody in the industry saw coming. Rymir Satterthwaite, the man who has long claimed Jay-Z is his father, has just pulled off the unimaginable, a court ruling that grants him half of Jay-Z's fortune. Half. Not just a token slice, but a jaw-dropping cut of the empire Sean Carter built across music, fashion, sports, and entertainment. And since Beyoncé's empire is deeply tied to his wealth, the ruling doesn't just shake Jay-Z, it threatens her financial kingdom as well. Overnight, the Carters, once seen as music's golden dynasty, now stand on the edge of complete collapse.
I have no felonies, I'm not crazy and none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything, so I don't want to see him go down for something that you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
Picture this for a moment. Beyoncé, the woman who has spent years crafting an image of strength and unstoppable power, now finds herself cornered by the weight of her husband's past. She has endured it all, from cheating scandals played out in public to that infamous elevator brawl etched into pop culture history. But this time, it's different. This isn't whispers, flirty texts, or scandalous headlines. This is a courtroom judgment carved in stone. A gavel has struck, and with it, decades of carefully built fortune could be handed to someone Beyoncé never wanted in her world. Insiders say she feels crushed, betrayed, and shaken. The terrifying truth? Jay-Z's long-buried secrets may be the very thing that tears apart everything she has worked so hard to protect.
He took them to some apartment building, and they did what they did in there. Talked a little bit, had a good time, party, and I guess I can't fully talk as my mom because I'm not my mom. I'm just telling you guys what she told me. It was this, and I honestly just believe it. It's just no doubt.
What makes this even more jaw-dropping is the pure David versus Goliath saga unfolding in real time. Rymir, once mocked as nothing more than a clout chaser, just a young man from New Jersey with no legal army, no industry giants backing him, has somehow walked away the winner. His late mother, Wanda, spent years pleading with courts to demand a paternity test, claiming she had been involved with Jay-Z back in the early 1990s. Time after time, her petitions were ignored, buried in sealed files, or tossed out on minor technicalities. Yet now, Rymir stands as the one in victory, not only acknowledged, but granted financial spoils that threaten to unravel a billion-dollar dynasty. If this ruling holds true, it would mark one of the most humiliating blows Jay-Z has ever suffered. And that sparks the question, how did this courtroom clash go so horribly wrong for him? For years, Jay-Z's attorneys painted Rymir as an opportunist, waging a never-ending campaign for fame through lawsuits. But this time, that spin fell flat. Instead, the court leaned toward the story of a son shut out from his father's name, and that truth outweighed the polished defenses of a global mogul. While Jay-Z's legal team vows to appeal, the judgment, half his fortune, remains in place. And the fallout doesn't just stop with him. The shockwaves slam straight into the empire he built alongside Beyoncé.
Oh, no, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
And this is where the story turns explosive. Beyoncé's wealth isn't completely separate from her husband's empire. Over time, the Carters blended their businesses, shared homes, launched joint music projects, and built an image of being untouchable together. But now, that very image is cracking. If Jay-Z's fortune takes a hit, if accounts are frozen or assets sold off, Beyoncé's financial kingdom gets pulled into the chaos as well. And this is fueling the whispers. Talk is growing that Beyoncé may be preparing for divorce. Sources close to the couple claim she has already spoken with top lawyers, weighing strategies to shield her Ivy Park brand, Parkwood Entertainment, and personal fortune before the court's ruling spreads into her accounts. Put simply, she may be forced to walk away from Jay-Z, not out of anger, but as her only chance to protect everything she's worked to build.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
That, of course, sparks a harsher question. Does Beyoncé even want to remain by his side? Because this isn't only about money. This ruling has ripped open old scars tied to Jay-Z's past, shadows he's fought to keep hidden. And let's not forget, Rymir isn't the first to step forward. Years ago, a woman named Letitia Messier claimed she was Jay-Z's daughter, supported by family members who swore they witnessed the romance that created her. One relative even posted online, "I know the story from start to finish. I introduced your mother and father years ago." Rumors swirled that Jay-Z secretly bought her a house in Maryland, paying her bills in exchange for silence, forbidding her from showing his photos. If there's truth in those whispers, then Rymir's triumph might only be the first domino to fall. Consider the stakes. If one claimant has shaken him this badly, what happens if others come forward? Could Letitia return with her own case? Could more names from his past suddenly appear? In today's world, where reputations collapse overnight and courts move quickly against celebrities, the possibility of more alleged children is far from impossible. And with each claim, Beyoncé's nightmare only grows darker. This is a woman who built herself into an empire, a brand as iconic as Apple or Nike. Yet now she is left in tears, watching the fractures inside her marriage spread wider by the day.
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange? You gotta the feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your...
Behind the curtain, chaos is unfolding. Jay-Z's camp insists Rymir's victory is only temporary, that appeals will overturn it, that the empire is untouchable. Yet whispers tell a different story, of private meetings in panic, accountants working overtime, and business partners suddenly second-guessing their deals. Nobody wants their name linked to a dynasty on the verge of collapse. And this stretches far beyond music. Jay-Z is woven into sports management, streaming platforms, luxury brands, and sprawling real estate across America. If those assets are frozen, if control begins to shift, the shockwaves won't just hit him, they'll shake industries from the ground up.
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me.
And then there is Beyoncé, once the very symbol of unity, now said to be quietly planning her escape. Can anyone really fault her? She has stood beside Jay-Z through storms before, even after his public confessions of infidelity. But this is different. This is not a rumor or a private wound. It is a courtroom decision splashed across global headlines, framing her husband as a man with secret children and buried affairs. Every move she makes from here will be scrutinized, judged, and dissected. If she files for divorce, critics will say she abandoned him at his lowest. If she remains, they will argue she risked her fortune and her pride to defend a man who betrayed her. And fueling the fire are whispers of hidden payouts. Industry insiders have long suggested Jay-Z's wealth has been used to quietly settle scandals, buying silence to bury the past. If true, those deals may now be dragged into court, exposing names and stories the world has never heard. Imagine the fallout of not one, but multiple voices emerging, each claiming his bloodline. That is no longer just gossip. It is the type of scandal that ends dynasties and rewrites legends into cautionary tales.
At that time, I remember thinking, I can't be mad at her because that is what the media portrayed.
We're now staring at a marriage once sold as the flawless image of a power couple, suddenly crumbling under pressures neither of them can truly command. And the question echoing in the air is almost unbearable. How much did Beyoncé really know? Has she quietly been bracing for this reckoning all along? For years, she showcased Jay-Z as her equal in both empire and love. But was there an unspoken awareness that his past could one day explode into their future? Or is she only now confronting the painful truth that the empire she so carefully built may be far more fragile than anyone ever believed?
Beyoncé for sure. I love her. I love Beyoncé. Jay-Z too, I really admire the both of them.
The Carter empire is far more fragile than most realize. Roc Nation, Jay-Z's prized jewel, is built on management contracts, publishing rights, and worldwide touring deals that lean heavily on Beyoncé's star power. Ivy Park, once a bold fashion venture, is already whispered to be struggling after its split with Adidas. Their vast real estate holdings in Bel Air, New York, and the Hamptons are tied together. Even their stakes in fine art, tech startups, and streaming platforms are deeply interwoven. If Rymir's court victory holds and assets are divided, the legal process won't just cut numbers on paper. It could unravel the entire Carter financial blueprint. Which raises the real question: has Beyoncé already mobilized her lawyers, preparing for a brutal fight to ring-fence and defend what is hers?
I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
Beyoncé's legal maneuvers may reveal more than any public statement ever could. Whispers suggest she has already started shifting assets under Parkwood Entertainment, shielding revenue streams Jay-Z cannot reach. If true, it's a bold act of self-preservation, one that speaks louder than vows. In the realm of billion-dollar empires, paper trails often tell the story long before divorce papers do. And already, the rumor mill is alive with speculation. Is Beyoncé quietly preparing for the most shocking split in modern music history? Imagine the headlines: the queen of R&B walking away, not out of heartbreak, but to protect her legacy. What makes this even more gripping is the double life she's rumored to have lived for years. In public, she has been flawless, untouchable, poised, immune to scandal. But in private, she has been the fixer, the strategist, the one patching up the wreckage from her husband's indiscretions. We've caught glimpses of that pain in her lyrics, hints of anger and betrayal woven into her art. Yet she never let the storm escape into press conferences or interviews. Now, the court's ruling forces her hand. If half her fortune is suddenly on the line, silence is no longer an option. Does she seize the moment with fury, controlling the story at last? Or does she retreat further into mystery, leaving the world to wonder?
Genius.
Beyoncé.
Gorgeous. A stab to my self-esteem.
This emotional tightrope is merciless. On one side, Beyoncé is the wife, the mother, the woman blindsided by revelations that could shatter anyone. On the other, she is a corporation in her own right, a billion-dollar brand where every decision carries financial fallout. And fans are left asking the impossible. Did she already know about these hidden claims and choose to bear them in silence? Or is she just as shocked as the rest of us? If she knew, then her choice to remain raises haunting questions about the price of loyalty. But if she didn't, the betrayal cuts far deeper, and her tears become the cries of a woman suddenly trapped in a marriage that looks less like love and more like a cage of business obligations.
Beyonce and Jay-Z will do anything to destroy anyone who speaks out against them.
Meanwhile, Jay-Z's carefully crafted image is shattering. For decades, he sold the world on the story of a hustler turned mogul, a man who transformed street smarts into boardroom power. He built the image of a family man who gave his children the life he never had, and by standing beside Beyoncé, he proved he had risen above his past. But this ruling rips that myth apart. Instead of a titan in control, we see a man cornered by ghosts from the 1990s, ghosts that refuse to stay buried. And if Rymir has won, what stops others from stepping forward? Could Latasha Messier return, encouraged by this precedent? Could even more names emerge, ones Jay-Z's inner circle has fought to silence for years? The ripple effect is devastating. Business thrives on stability, and Jay-Z's empire is built on partnerships. Streaming platforms, sports agencies, luxury brands, none of them want to be tied to scandal or dragged into courtroom drama. Already, whispers suggest negotiations are stalling as partners wait to see if his empire survives the storm. A mogul without stability isn't a mogul at all. If lawsuits multiply, if payouts bleed the fortune dry, the Carter dynasty could collapse within years, and the irony is brutal. After surviving industry rivalries, lawsuits, and even criminal charges early in his career, it may be his own bloodline, real or alleged, that finally brings him down. Beyoncé's position in this chaos is impossible to envy. She has always guarded her privacy, but this scandal could strip that shield away. If half the fortune is at stake, she cannot stay silent forever. Court appearances, public statements, even forced acknowledgement of rumors she has ignored for years may now be unavoidable. Every word she speaks will be dissected, every silence treated as guilt or complicity. Does she stand by him and risk falling with him, or does she step away, reclaiming her throne alone?
That you're a big fan of Beyoncé.
For years, Beyoncé's silence has been her sharpest weapon. Unlike many of her peers, she rarely addresses private turmoil directly, instead allowing her art to speak for her. That restraint built an aura of control, the image of a woman unshakable, no matter the storm. When Jay-Z's infidelity became public, she didn't give interviews or release lengthy statements. She dropped Lemonade, an album that transformed whispers of humiliation into a cultural victory. It was proof that silence paired with calculated storytelling could hit harder than any press conference ever could. But this moment feels different. A court ruling threatening to carve away half her family's wealth is not the kind of scandal that can be softened with symbolism or hidden in lyrics. It strikes at her bank accounts, her businesses, and even her children's inheritance. If she chooses silence again, she risks appearing powerless, trapped in a narrative she did not write. For the first time, the question looms large. Will her old strategy of letting the music speak be enough, or will Beyoncé be forced to step out and face the storm directly?
What's up, what's up? This is Beyoncé on the red carpet with one of the hottest female artists out here, Miss Aaliyah. How you doing,
baby?
girl?
It's so good to see you again.
The possibilities for her next move are electrifying. Some insiders whisper that Beyoncé could unleash a documentary, finally revealing her side of the story and pulling back the curtain on a marriage long treated as legend. Such a project would rewrite her image. No longer the silent partner suffering in the shadows, but a woman taking control of her own survival. Others believe she may turn to music once more, pouring her heartbreak into something raw and uncompromising, a body of work that could even surpass the cultural earthquake of Lemonade. With the right timing, personal devastation could transform into yet another defining milestone in her career. The stakes couldn't be higher. Beyoncé has always walked the fine line between being an untouchable icon and a relatable woman. Now, leaning into vulnerability could tip that balance in her favor. The public craves authenticity, and in today's world, transparency fuels relevance. If she chooses to seize this storm, the scandal meant to shatter her could instead ignite her reinvention, cementing her not just as an entertainer, but as an indestructible force who turns betrayal into fire.
I can only say as a father that I hope I instill with them the values that they would want to look for in a man. And I think I did when Beyoncé wrote on her, I think it was her first album, maybe it was the second one, the song Daddy, that she hoped that she found someone just like her daddy.
Of course, the risks are enormous. By stepping into the spotlight with confessions, Beyoncé could unlock doors she has fought for decades to keep sealed. Every word would invite scrutiny, and every silence would spark speculation. Yet history shows she thrives on reinvention, whether through music, film, or the surprise moves that redefine pop culture. Time and again, she has turned insurmountable challenges into triumph. The real question now is whether she will cling to silence as her shield, or break it to reclaim her story on her own terms. That's why fans are on edge. For years, the Carters have stood as the ultimate blueprint of celebrity power, partners in life, art, and empire. But power couples don't last forever, and the fractures are widening. What we may be witnessing is not just scandal, but the unraveling of a dynasty. And once the illusion of perfection shatters, everything built on it can come crashing down. So here we stand, staring at an empire in freefall, a marriage under siege, and a woman forced to choose between loyalty and survival. The only question left is this: will Beyoncé cut ties to protect her crown, or will she gamble everything trying to save a kingdom already slipping away? Tell us your thoughts. Has the Carter reign finally reached its end? Until next time, keep watching, keep questioning, and stay ready for the truth they never want you to see.